10 months ago, we were forced to buy this land that we're standing on right now for $850,000. Today, we're going to find out if we're going to be able to make any money with it. Let's hear this 13-liter John Deere engine that cost almost $700,000 fire up, because we have some combining to do. These tires are taller than I am. The only way this combine works is with this $265,000 corn head attachment on front. I hope you're keeping careful track of all these numbers. Now, luckily, I didn't have to buy this ground by myself. I bought it with my husband, Grant. It's a joint effort out here on the farm. Speaking of a joint effort, we've got a new guy on the farm today. This is going to be his very first load in this grain cart. We'll see how he does.
He's holding it pretty steady.
So far, I'm impressed. But the day is just beginning. We'll see if he spills anything. We've got a lot of money in this grain right here, so we need to make sure that every single kernel gets from the combine to the grain cart to the truck to its final destination without losing any of it. This grain tank will probably go from completely full to completely empty like it is now almost 100 times just today.
All right, Laura. Combine is set how I like it. I think you're gonna run it for a while because the trucks are filling up and I gotta go drive one.
All right, get out of here. It's my turn. Running a combine kind of feels like running a boat. This joystick is our throttle. This is also how we control just about everything. The corn coming off this field is averaging a yield of 258 bushels per acre. That means we are going to get roughly 20,640 bushels of corn off of this 80 acres. Running at about 3 miles an hour, we are burning 11.9 gallons of fuel per hour. Off-road diesel in bulk costs us $3 per gallon. In addition to a regular fuel tank, the combine also has a diesel exhaust fluid or DEF fluid tank. I've also heard it called AdBlue. It's a 14-gallon tank and it cost us $50 to fill that all the way up from empty to full. And the combine won't run without it. I have 40 feet of metal, plastic, chains, gearboxes, so big that I can't even fit it all in my frame, that I have to continually be scanning to make sure everything is working properly. While it's got a very hefty price tag with it, the sheer volume of grain that it can bring into the machine at one time is very impressive. And the fact that it's 16 rows means it matches up perfectly with the planter we used just a few months ago to actually plant this field for the very first time. Getting full, auger goes out. Filling the second grain cart load of the day. Each grain tank is about 420 to 450 bushels. With that being said, it takes about 2 to 2.5 full combine hoppers to fill a grain cart. Each grain cart holds roughly 1,000 bushels, and we're putting those 1,000 bushels straight onto a grain trailer. Off of this new 80 acres, each truck that comes off of the field is going straight to our bin site to be run through the dryer and then stored to be hauled into town at a later date. Every single minute from the day we bought this field led up to this day right here, finally getting to harvest our crop. A lot happened just in preparation to get us to harvest. Let's go check that out now.
And that is bean harvest done. All done.
Next step is to actually hook the corn head up. It doesn't look like it now, but this was brand new just last year. We're lucky enough to tote it around on a Stellar Industries trailer, complete with Laura Farm stickers on it. And that is pretty cool if you ask me. The 16-row corn head is 40 feet wide, which makes it difficult to navigate down the road. It cost over $260,000 and
You hear that? $260,000.
$260,000. I can't even say that with a straight face. And it weighs over 5 tons. That's right, about 11,000 pounds. That is wild. So we own this enormous piece of equipment, but specifically this attachment that goes onto it, all for just about 4 weeks out of the year. The rest of it, it just sits on that trailer in that building. That's right. 4 weeks out of the year is all that ever gets used. Is that crazy or what? When working around the head, you always want to make sure this safety stop is down in case these cylinders were to fail and we would be anywhere near or around the head, we would not be crushed. This would save us. There's a few basic things before you can even get inside the combine to start harvesting. Is you need to take the corn head out of storage or transport mode and get it ready to work. And all that brings us right back here to today. On any given harvest day, Grant and I are both working in addition with 3 to 5 other people. It really takes a village to run a farm. Third cart of the day, and it is a full one. Still nothing spilled though. The field is a little bit less than 80 acres because of this pivot road right here. This is what we use to drive our four-wheelers and pickups on so that we can service the pivot, because this 80 did come irrigated, which is so nice. And that's one of the reasons why we're able to produce such a good crop on this field. The soil is also just in great condition. We rented it for several years before we purchased it, so we were able to put the proper amount of fertilizer and soil management practices to ensure that our soil is in the best health possible so that we can grow the best crop that we can in order to try to afford all of this. So much money, effort, and time, all for the whole field, all 80 acres to be harvested in less than 1 day. At anywhere from 19 to 22% moisture, this corn is just a little too wet to be taken into town or put directly into storage. So right now, every kernel of corn is getting run through the dryer and then stored in a bin site. Grain stores best at 15 to 16% moisture, but if you are hauling it into town, they want everything at 15. If you haul it in and you're anything above that, maybe let's say up to they're accepting 22 to 25% moisture, they will charge you 5 cents per bushel per point to wherever you're at to get you down to 15% moisture. And that can add up fast. Another cost when hauling grain directly into the elevator is the shrink charge. And right now the going rate around us is 1.5% shrink per bushel. and that is the co-op banking on there's going to be some loss of grain. They're going to lose some weight in the grain from the drying process, in the transfer process, and that's their insurance for that. So just because the grain is out of the field does not mean the costs associated with it have gone away. That being said, it is more expensive to put up a dryer, and you still have to supply the fuel, but in the long run, it could make more sense financially to own your own dryer and dry your corn yourself. This field was soybeans last year. This year we obviously planted it to corn. And under our corn head we have these little rollers. I shouldn't say little, they're very big and heavy. They are just rolling those stalks right over. After harvest, we have several things that need to be done to this field to get it winter ready. We need to close all the pivot tracks, and we also need to take the root slicer through it to get all of these root balls out of our way so that we can plant this field again next year for the second time as owners. What used to be bare soybean ground is now bare corn ground. Wow. It's crazy how everything and nothing changes in just about 10 months. Now, while the combine gets all of the glory during harvest, we're going to transition for just a little bit to more of the unsung hero of harvest. And that would be the grain cart. I guess it's a grain cart that's hooked up to a tractor.
Farming is at the heart of the all-American dream. Hard work, strong values, and building something that lasts. And that's exactly what Chief Industries and its 7 brands have been doing for over 70 years now. Chief Agro supports farmers with grain bins and handling systems that protect the harvest. Chief Buildings puts up durable, efficient structures across commercial, agriculture, and industrial projects. Chief Ethanol turns American corn into renewable fuel, adding value to every bushel. Chief Fabrication provides precision steel fabrication. Chief Carriers keeps the wheels moving with their award-winning fleet of trucks. Chief Construction builds projects that strengthens communities. And Bonnevilla Homes create beautiful, long-lasting homes for American families. From the bins on the farm to the fuel in the tank to the homes we live in, Chief Industries is a part of the all-American farm story. They have been a valuable partner of mine for years, and we are so grateful for them. Learn more for yourself at the link in the description below. Now, back to work.
There is not nearly the amount of glory in being a grain cart operator as there is in being a combine operator, but nonetheless, we are so important. This job, this is the transport. This is how our product gets from the combine to the trucks. And the trucks are how the grain gets to town. So really, harvest would be nothing without the grain cart and its operator. And you can't argue. It does look pretty good. John Deere 8R340 hooked up to a Brent 1194 cart. Going to make a quick adjustment. Not everything can be adjusted. Oh! Let that clear out for a little bit. Not everything can be adjusted from the inside of the cab. There are still some adjustments that have to be made manually on the outside. As you can see, this is a very exact science. Back to work.
Look at this. A synthetic rock.
Oh my goodness. We don't have any rocks in our Nebraska fields, but we do find concrete every once in a while. Wouldn't want to put that through the combine.
Put it in the neighbor's field.
This field had an old homestead on it that's since long gone. But every time we're out here, if you're looking around carefully, you can find stuff that comes up through the dirt. It is the grain cart driver's job to read the combine driver's mind. Even though we've got radios and everything and we can communicate, I have to figure out how fast is the combine driver going, match that speed, position myself just enough rows, 3 rows over from the head so I don't run into the head, but the auger can feed directly into the center of the cart, and then stay that same speed because the combine driver can adjust the placement of the auger, and the combine operator also has a way better vantage point. They can see into the cart where needs more grain. So I just pick my speed, stick to it, put my auto steer line on so I don't even have to drive. I can just be focused on being turned around and seeing my grain.
You're full. I want the hill on the end road.
Copy that. You heard the man. Let's go dump this full cart. Now the key is to not spill any. Under ideal conditions, this cart is rated to hold about 1,100 bushels of grain. So when hauling corn around at max capacity, we are towing 60,000 pounds of corn behind this tractor. The cart itself weighs over 30,000 pounds, and new, a cart like this is going to run you between $60,000 and $70,000. Isn't it crazy that I can be relaxed enough to cross my legs driving the tractor here? We are sitting in what you may recognize as my new surprise tractor, which now has 631 hours on it. Oh, there goes the auger out. Time to do our job. 3 1/3 bushels per second are being unloaded from that auger. Just an incredibly high speed unload. What's not high speed is how fast we're going. A whopping 2.6 miles an hour. Let me tell you, in a field, that feels pretty fast. This field was well irrigated. In fact, there's still some water sitting in the bottom of those pivot tracks there. Pretty simple order of operations. Pull up to the truck, close, but not too close, because you don't want to hit the truck, obviously. And then make sure that my auger is over the truck just in case something would be open, because I've done it before where I started the PTO shaft early and I spilled soybeans everywhere. It was a disaster. So we want to avoid that. Next, turn the PTO shaft on. Okay. Now we open the slide gate and start emptying corn. Pay attention to that little white arrow there. Ready? Idle up our PTO, get a little more RPMs, and we're off to the races. When the pile starts getting big, pull forward. Want to be lined up right between those 2 straps. And you don't want anybody near that spinning PTO shaft. That is how so many farm accidents happen. Auger back in place, and we've got a full truck ready to be dumped. It's not very often I get to work with other women, but today we have Colleen driving truck for us, and she is the nicest lady. And we have matching manicures. She has French tips too. So everybody say hi to Colleen. We try to keep things as efficient as possible. We want to harvest this field in a timely manner because there's so many factors. There is weather coming in every day. The corn gets drier and closer to falling over. We're paying our help by the hour, so we like to try to keep things moving. But every once in a while, you are required to unload at a stop. So the tractor's in park, combine's in park, and we are unloading. And that is because we are cutting a new land. For example, let's just imagine this is our field. So we start on the end rows and you make a pass right here, but then when you turn around and now you can unload because your auger for the combine is on this side. But then when you go to cut this part right here, you can't make it all the way through. And we actually want to be going in some kind of racetrack pattern or some kind of circled wagon pattern so that your auger is always on the outside of where you harvest it. So we'll pick somewhere in the field, the combine will cut in, and then he's full. So we'll cut over just a little ways, cut a path, and the grain cart will come along here, park next to the combine. The combiner will unload, stopped right here. Then the grain cart will back up a little ways, the combine will back up and continue cutting all the way through. Now we've got a path through the field. But then eventually, you're driving so far between passes it doesn't make any sense. So you drive over here, cut a new land, stop, unload halfway through, go down, and continue the pattern. Does that make sense? Right over there was our cut in. We made it all the way through. Now we can racetrack. This is maybe a weird thought to have, but so often I forget and then try to remember that bad things can happen in an instant, which probably means I should be focusing and not filming right now. But like all it would take is just a turn of this wheel and I could run the whole cart into the side of the semi-truck. All that to say, there's an enormous responsibility as a grain cart operator. There's a lot of moving parts, and you're constantly moving, and a lot of moving grain. So it is very important to keep a level head and clear focus at all times. Every single job you do on the farm, I just feel like there's this checklist of 100 different things that I'm constantly running through in my mind. Did I shut the PTO shaft off? Was I at a low enough idle when I turned the PTO shaft on to begin with? Where are we going to be at in the field? Where should I be? Watch the side hill so I don't dump the cart over. Gotta be full, but not too full. Gotta load the trucks evenly. Did the truck drivers close the traps all the way? I don't want to be spilling grain. All these different things that I'm just thinking about all of the time. I'm sure a lot of people can relate with that. Don't fall. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. The sun decided to come out. It is a beautiful day outside. It seems like just yesterday that we were actually buying this field. And so to actually be harvesting now, it's very, very rewarding. We're getting down to the end of it. So now we actually have final counts on numbers for what we pulled off of this field. Have you been keeping track of how many loads? If you haven't, that's all right, because I have. Tractors are really designed for right-handed people. I imagine it would be difficult if you were left-handed. All my controls are on this side. Looks like we need to do a little bit of tree trimming. I think that branch is gonna hit. Yes, it will. That's no good. Need to come out here with a chainsaw. My goodness, I think we need to come out here with a scraper too. That was muddy. We need to come out here anyways because there's been a military truck in this tree line for who knows how long. So at some point, might have to go rescue that, or at least see what it is. Going to hit this from the other angle to see if we can avoid that low-hanging tree branch. Man, the corn head is just massive, isn't it? There we go. The raccoons are just gonna have to go hungry. Does anybody know what this thing could be? you do, let me know in the comments. Grant and I try and see what we can do with that thing. Looks like it's been sitting for a long time. That is some pivot track. My goodness. It is wet. I'm so glad the combine didn't get stuck here. That would have been bad. Mud hole. Even though the Huskers are not winning, it's still very enjoyable to have a football game on in a tractor cab during harvest. Just doesn't get better. It makes sense for our tractors to have visors right here, but you might wonder why tractors also have visors on the side, and it is for moments just like this. Ah, much better. Do I have enough things to look at over here? It's so funny. I've got all these things in the cab, and for the job I'm doing right now, I really just need this one. Look at the sunlight coming through the corn. That is beautiful. We've got back shades, side shades, and front shades. We're well protected in here. Now I just got to make sure I can still see out. If you're used to running a more manual tractor and not the IVT like we have right now, I'm sure it would be a little frustrating, because when I go from driving my manual semi-truck to one that has an automatic transmission, I do not like it. It's not very fun. I like to be able to choose the gear that I'm in, especially when I'm driving a truck. But I have to say, when loading a semi-truck, having a tractor that's equipped with an IVT transmission is so smooth and so nice. Like, look at this. Just pop it into gear, I'm not even looking, and I can just creep forward. Oh, it's so nice. Harvest is so beautiful and so satisfying. I love to see that green machine just absolutely mowing down some corn. And just like that, the whole 80 acres has been harvested. It is out of the field. All that work for that. Now, let's see if we can make any money. This year, we will not make any money owning this new 80 acres, and probably not for the foreseeable future. But maybe that's the wrong question to be asking. Sure, we can run all of the numbers and we can figure out if the math truly makes sense on paper. But really, sometimes it just doesn't, and we do it anyways. Because owning farm ground is more than just profit. It's about pride and carrying on something that started long before us, and Lord willing, will last long after us. When you buy a piece of land, you're not just investing in dirt, you're investing in roots. You're saving a patch of earth from being forgotten or bought up by a big corporation. You're giving it a chance to keep on growing food and fuel, feeding families and holding memories. So, can we make money with farm ground? Maybe, but there's a different kind of return, and it's one that doesn't fit a number on a balance sheet. It's the pure honor of owning it and taking care of it, and knowing that even if it doesn't make sense financially, we're still doing work that matters, because this land doesn't belong to us, we belong to it. Being a 5th and 6th generation farmer is the biggest honor, and we are so grateful to be able to share that story with you. You know what? No matter how the harvest turns out, all that really matters is that we are safe and healthy, live in the beautiful state of Nebraska, and it is harvest time. So thank you for being along on this farming and land buying journey with us. It really means a lot to us, and so much has happened in the last 10 months. I can't imagine what will happen in the next year, 5 years, 10 years. You're just gonna have to stick around and find out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.